This is going to be your guide for using Darmanitan in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Now, Galarian Darmanitan is the only form available in these games, but I do want to compare it to base Darmanitan because it tells us a lot about Galarian Darmanitan and where it fits in the competitive scene. Because Darmanitan have the exact same stats no matter which form you have, and then Sheer Force isn't going to be that different of an ability, and then the only other difference is going to be typing. Now, what I mean with Sheer Force is that it's 1.3 times damage compared to Gorilla Tactics 1.5 times damage. Now, I don't consider Gorilla Tactics a broken ability, and I love it from a design standpoint. So you effectively have Choice Band as an ability, which means that you need to run another choice item with this Pokemon, but that makes it very one-dimensional. So you're either going to be Choice Band plus Choice Scarf, or Choice Band plus Choice Band, and doing insane amounts of damage. But I think this is where the context of Darmanitan becomes really relevant, because we weren't seeing Choice Band one-shot Darmanitan all over the place, and this isn't seen as a very strong or very common Pokemon. So pushing up the power of Darmanitan into the Galarian form while giving it a heavy drawback with the heavy damage, it just makes sense, and it sounds like a really good idea from a balanced standpoint. And due to the popularity of fun, uncompetitive fan formats, it needs to be made clear that Darmanitan is not banned in any way in Pokemon Sword and Shield. You are free to use this Pokemon however you want, as much as you want. And the funny thing is, even though people are like crying out about it being broken or just like insane amounts of damage, it's not the most insane damage we've seen in Pokemon, even when comparing it to Darmanitan. So we have regular Darmanitan, Choice Band with max attack, Jolly Nature using Flare Blitz. We have a 129% overkill on the Silvally, but then we have Icicle Crash, which is going to be the primary move for Galarian Darmanitan, only doing 105%. So we've seen far more damage on just regular Darmanitan in the past, and like I said, we just haven't seen the Choice Band, so either it's a flavor of the month, Darmanitan somehow went this long under the radar without its best moveset, or this Pokemon is as expected. Now, it does have advantages over Darmanitan, that using Flare Blitz costs you health, and that will eventually KO you, and Galarian Darmanitan does have some nice coverage to back it up, and it can do a couple of extra things while guaranteeing damage, but as I just kind of showed, it's not like this surprise, unstoppable factor that people are treating it as. And another thing we need to consider is that with Generation 8, Dynamax is a huge part of the game. That when Galarian Darmanitan Dynamaxes, it loses its choice item, and it loses its ability, and then it does pretty much no damage. It's just some stats, but it's also still pretty frail. Like a Dynamax super effective hit from an opposing Pokemon can just KO Galarian Darmanitan, or, you know, while it's Dynamax, it can't really do anything. And another thing is, since it is a choice Pokemon, if you bring Protect, if you max guard against it, you can predict the move that's going to be locked into, and then Galarian Darmanitan doesn't become a threat at all. So this Pokemon has a lot of weaknesses, but it also has an insane amount of power. I do want to stress the weaknesses because people are being weird about this Pokemon. So even though I disagree with Stealth Rocks, I think it's a noob trap move, a lot of people seem to like it. Darmanitan's an Ice-type Pokemon. It's going to get wrecked by any kind of Stealth Rocks, and if it's trying to play like a hit and run, you know, because once Darmanitan gets a KO, it just gets responded to with something that's strong against the move that's choiced against, or won't get KO'd by it. So then Darmanitan has to switch out, it comes back in, and then it takes more damage from the Stealth Rocks. So every time Darmanitan scores a KO, which isn't even a guarantee, it gets weaker and weaker and easier to knock out. So there's a lot of problems. But the next thing I want to talk about is Zen Mode, because Zen Mode Darmanitan also exists, and there's a couple of ways of getting it set up. So once you hit half hit points or lower, you go into your Zen form, 20 more attack, 135 speed, and we also gain the fire typing, which increases our stab on moves like Fire Punch, or if we want to run the Flare Blitz. But I think at this rate, Fire Punch is okay, and since our ability is Zen Mode and not Gorilla Tactics, that opens up some other item options as well as not locking us in, so we have free coverage while rocking this crazy speed and crazy damage, but it does need to be set up. Now, Belly Drum, Zen Mode Darmanitan is a thing. They need to make sure that you have even hit points, and depending on the format you're playing, if you're playing inside of Pokemon Sword and Shield, everything's going to be brought down to level 50, so keep that in mind, and then you're going to want to max out your speed, max out your attack, and then just go Jolly Nature. boom, you're just going to be pretty crazy. So yeah, we got something like this. However, Belly Drum is really risky and not a guarantee, especially when you only have 55 on your defenses, even in like regular Darmanitan. So what you want to do is you want to set up against a tank Pokemon. That if the tank just has no threat against you whatsoever, you Belly Drum, and then you can run like Life Orb as an item and just completely slap the opponent. Now another option to set up Zen Mode could be Substitute, that any Pokemon below 95 speed, since you're going to be jolly fully invested, even if they're like a hard-hitting, bulky attacking Pokemon, you just sub, take the hit, sub, take the hit. That's going to be Zen Mode, and then you can keep on subbing and activate something like a Lychee Berry. So Lychee Berry is going to give you +1 attack, which is effectively Choice Band damage or Gorilla Tactics damage without any drawback while you still have a higher attack. So you can see Substitute on the Darmanitan as well. And then another option that we have is Bulk Up. Like, we have a 105 base hit points. Even with our low defense, we can survive, like, not super crazy moves. So you just either take a hit and then use Bulk Up and then have Zen Mode activate, or you can go Focus Sash with the Bulk Up, get your +1 that way, and now you have all kinds of crazy stats, and then a +1 on this attack, and then something else. So this is not a moveset right here, but you can choose one of these options to get the Zen Mode set up for the Darmanitan, and then you're going to want coverage moves outside of that. As for the coverage moves on Galarian Darmanitan, it's pretty straightforward. We got Icicle Crash, that is going to be your primary stab, crazy damage. We have Flare Blitz, this is going to break down any Pokemon that would be too bulky otherwise or resist your Icicle Crash. Earthquake, they gave it Earthquake. That might be the most problematic thing about the Galarian Darmanitan, but Game Freak, seems like they know what they're doing because this Pokemon isn't too overwhelming, and then you also have the Superpower. So once again, when you get locked into a Superpower, you're using it for like one niche usage, and then you're going to have to switch out. So we can see Choice Band or Choice Scarf on Darmanitan. That's going to be pretty much it if you are running the Gorilla Tactics ability. So I want to show you guys Adamant Nature, which is what you don't run, for a very specific reason. Rotom. That Rotom, with a speed boosting nature, so Timid Rotom, is going to be faster than you if you are running the Adamant, which means you just get completely shut out by a Scarf Rotom or a Specs Rotom if you're running Choice Band, and then your Darmanitan pretty much means nothing, so you will have to sacrifice that little bit of extra damage on top of your already stacked crazy damage to then go for the Jolly Nature in pretty much every situation, unless you want Darmanitan to be exclusively a tank-busting Pokemon, and you have other ways of dealing with Rotom, and you just don't even chance it against any Rotom that you ever go up against. So in that case, you'd want like a Gastrodon or something, because Gastrodon does really well against both Heat and Wash Rotom. So things to note right there. And then these are some extra move options. That Fire Punch, instead of dealing damage to yourself, is going to be able to seal the deal in a lot of situations if you are running Choice Band with the Gorilla Tactics. We also have U-Turn. I'm against it, you know, much like Stealth Rocks, I think that the switch attacking moves aren't really that great, especially with Darmanitan. Like, you need all the coverage you can get. This will do a lot of damage. Like, Choice Band or even Choice Scarf U-Turn with a max attack on Darmanitan will hurt the opponent, but then you're still switching in and you're taking a hit, and there's like weird prediction things that come into play. But you're giving up that coverage, I don't think is worth it at all. We also have Iron Head, Zen Headbutt. Well, Zen Headbutt would be for Poison-type Pokemon. We have Earthquake, though. And Iron Head, I don't think it matters against fairies. Those are mostly, like, special defensive invested. Or, you know, they're more special defense oriented. So just a physical Choice Band, Gorilla Tactics, Icicle Crash, that's going to be more than enough. So it's this, and then maybe this, if you want to, like, kind of splash in those ideas. And that's the Darmanitan, guys. It's like the most glass cannon we've ever seen, and it does have a pretty nice speed tier to sit in. Also, just kind of want to show you guys the weaknesses and stuff. So, fighting, rock, steel, fire. Galarian Darmanitan has a really hard time against that. Then when in Zen mode, you have 4 weaknesses. They just kind of get mixed around a little bit. I think that one problem that people have is overcommitting to the Darmanitan, that it doesn't really sweep more than any other Pokemon. Like, it doesn't take over games like certain other Pokemon as well. But the thing that's nice about Darmanitan is that it doesn't require setup. You come in and you just start dropping crazy amounts of hard damage, but you need to understand that the opponent, you know, can force out the Darmanitan and then just play better. Darmanitan is going to be exploited by that more than other Pokemon, that, you know, if a really good switch prediction or playing around the Darmanitan could lead to some setup, and then Darmanitan can't do anything against it, and you always have to play to make sure that before Darmanitan tries to do anything fancy, the opponent has to have the Dynamax removed as well. So, yeah, there we go, guys. Darmanitan, it's wild. Like, that's a lot of stuff that Darmanitan gets. And Game Freak, they went for it here. And I think they ended up with a pretty good Pokemon, but it's not like the most broken Pokemon, and it's balanced in a way that a glass cannon can be balanced. It's not like it trades really well. It either wins or it dies. So if you guys enjoy the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.